peeps, and welcome to another episode of the Project Commentary Podcast. You know who I am, and today we are going to talk about a kind of a touchy subject, so I'm going to try to navigate it as, diplomatically as I possibly can. But what we're going to talk about today is the recent trend of violence against people that are transgendered in this country. On this one, I'm just going to kind of unpack my thoughts on it. Like I said, hopefully I don't offend anyone, but I feel like it's kind of some things that just need to be said. So recently in North Carolina, a transgender person by the name of Denali Berry Stuckey was found on the side of the road after suffering a gunshot wound, and was later pronounced dead after this. And she makes the 12th transgender woman to die in the U.S. this year alone. And there have been numerous reports of acts of violence, physical violence, threats and things of that nature against people in the transgender community. So I just kind of want to look at what's going on and, just kind of try to get an understanding of why this is happening and what should kind of happen going forward. Sexuality has apparently become really fluid, and I don't know if I go with that flow. I don't know if I understand it exactly, but, I've always been like teachers on, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you do behind the privacy of your own doors, that's your business, you know what I'm saying? It ain't got nothing to do with me. But in this particular instance, I think there needs to be a little bit of distinction made between the LGBTQ community and the transgender community, because as a homosexual or as a lesbian or whatever the case may be, you're simply stating that you are who you are, but you like someone of the same sexual orientation. So you are a man that likes men, or you're a woman that likes women. The transgender thing, from what I understand of it, is stating that either I am choosing to no longer be the gender that I am, I want to be the other one, or that I feel as though I was basically placed in the wrong body and that my body does not match who I am. And I think there's where the problem comes in, especially when it comes to social interaction. Humans, by design, we look at people and we find differences. That's what we do. In terms of, color, race, height, religion, weight, everything. We analyze people and we see the differences between us. Well, the first part of attraction typically is a physical one. It's what you see, and you are attracted to what you visually see and like. So what happens in these situations is you've got a man who is now living his life as a woman and has taken the necessary steps or is in the process of making this metamorphosis into this female gender. And you're out here living your life as a woman. And this is where I say it's a little bit different from the LGBTQ. I'm not sure all the letters, I ain't gonna lie. But this is the difference between that community and this community. You are saying that this is who I am and I'm almost correcting a wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's because I watched like some interviews with people that have decided to transition, because I really wanted to try to get an understanding of, okay, what are they talking about? What is this need to not be what you were born as? And the common thread that I was seeing is that they genuinely felt like what they were, the skin they were put in, or the gender that they were born into, was the incorrect gender. And so they were looking at what they were doing, not so much as going against the grain or, changing the natural order of things, but correcting the order of things and saying, no, I'm going to be who I was meant to be. Here's the problem with that as a man, because most of these crimes have been committed against men that have transitioned to women. The problem with that is your truth and what you believe to be fact, and my truth and what I believe to be fact, if they don't match, we have a problem. So if you are a man that has decided to live his life as a woman, you feel like you have corrected a wrong. And let's just say you are 100% changed. You are post-op. You have swapped out your equipment. So you are living as a woman. You feel like you are in the skin you're supposed to be in. Okay, great for you. High five. My truth is what's on your birth certificate. And I feel like a lot of these issues that are coming as a result of this, I guess, phenomena, whatever you want to call it, is coming in the sense of it's not being clearly communicated what you are, who you are, or what you used to be. Because it seems that these people that have transitioned feel like, no, I'm not a man that I'm not a woman that used to be a man. I am a woman that is now a woman, and I was always a woman. There just once was a time where I was in the wrong body and I had male equipment. And that's cool for you to feel that way. But I try to put myself in both scenarios. So whenever I look at a situation like this, in order to try to be objective, I say that's why I watch the interviews with the people that had transitioned, because I want to understand, okay, what's their frame of mind? What are they thinking? What's the goal here? What do they plan to achieve? And then I have to take myself being a heterosexual male and put myself in the scenario of, what if I were in a situation where I had interacted with a person that was transgendered and didn't know it. So from their point of view, I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying, because you feel this way and you feel like you have finally corrected the wrong that was done, I guess, basically in the womb. And now you are who you're supposed to be. Okay, that's great. But I think you need to understand that the world you live in is not the one that's in your head. You actually live in a world where, for as much as this makes rational sense to you, it may not make rational sense to anyone else. My wife, she always tells me that oftentimes I approach things and I do it in a way where it's like I think people think like me. And I'll tell her, it's like, I don't know any other way to approach it, because for me, this is logical. You know what I'm saying? So I look at them and I'm like, okay, for them, perhaps this is logical. And maybe they don't feel the need to have to disclose who they are and what they used to be, and, and disclose every portion of their life to every person that they meet. But that's a very dangerous way to approach this, because when I step out of that way of thinking and come back to who I am, which is, like I said, a heterosexual male, I think about during the time when I was dating, if I met somebody and you look like a woman, you sound like a woman, I'm not getting any vibes that anything is off or anything is strange, and we get to know each other, we start talking or anything like that. It don't even have to get intimate. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be seriously just text conversations or hanging out or go to a movie or something like that. So we won't even get into the point of like physical contact. If I find out that this whole time Carla used to be Carl might have to square up. And I mean that because for me, you took away my option to make a decision. You know what I'm saying? Because if from the gate you had led with, this ain't what you think it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't always a woman. I mean, and it's a very easy conversation to have from my perspective, because I think it's safer for you to do it that way. Now, it may be harder for you to open up and just tell a person that. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but when you weigh out the possible backlash versus what it takes to go ahead and say it, it seems like that would be the smarter thing to do. So I'm not just gonna say it's easy, but I will say I think it would be smarter for you to approach it that way. I'm looking at that and I'm saying that if I found out that I have been sharing my intimate thoughts and all these things, thinking that I am talking to a woman, only to find out that I was talking to a man, I got a problem with that, because even though you have changed who you are, and from a physical standpoint, there's only so much changing you can do. Because you have to think, when people enter into a relationship with someone, whatever the case may be, whether it's a platonic friendship, whether it's an intimate relationship, and this is, male or female, doesn't matter. There are only certain things that you are going to let out or you're going to divulge to a particular person. Like, for instance, my brother, we were roommates for years. Now, he's not my biological brother, but he's been my boy since like 6th grade. So like, that's my brother. We were roommates for like 4 years. That's my dog. He knows a lot of things about me. But there are conversations that I have had with women in my life that I would never have with him, and vice versa. There are conversations I've had with him that I would never talk to about with a woman in my life. So that's not even talking about, like I said, on an intimate level or anything like that. This is just a friendly relationship, a homeboy relationship. And to kind of mirror that, or to further that point that I'm making, even with my female friends, there are things that I would talk about with a female friend that I wouldn't talk about with a male friend. Still, not adding any intimacy or sex or anything in there, just talking about conversation. I feel that way. So then I put myself in the position of, what if it went further than that? What if this woman or this person that I thought was a woman, I find out was born a man? I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I know I would not have a PC or diplomatic response to that. I'm going ham, but it gonna have to square up. That's where we at. And it could honestly get to a situation where only one of us is walking out this room. And it's simply because, and I think this is a part that some people, they look at people that are heterosexual sometimes and think that they are just being so hateful or not willing to accept people for who they are. But I think people have to understand that the same way you feel as fervently that you were born in the wrong body is the same way I feel that I was born in the right one. The same way you feel that you are a man that should have been a woman and now you have become a woman and you want to date men. The same way you feel like that's perfectly fine and you should be free to do that. I feel that I don't want to date a woman that used to be a man. Because to me, it doesn't matter what you change, you still a man. That's just how I feel about it. And that's because you can't do the things women do, the way the body works, the biology of the whole thing. So if I was in a situation where I was like trying to raise a family or something like that, you can't produce children. At the end of the day, they're changing the external. They can't change the biology of you as a person. They can't make you a childbearing woman. And when I say this, I hope it doesn't come across as insensitive, but it's just, for me, your sexual orientation and things like that, that can be fluid. Cool. If you wake up one day and decide you in love with sweet potato pies, I mean, that's your business. If you want to be out here sleeping with sweet potato pies, go for it. But that doesn't change your biology. That's just you on some freaky shit and like fucking pies. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't change who or what you are from a biological standpoint. And that's why I feel like they kind of need to separate the sexual orientation portion from the transgender portion, because it seems like being transgendered is something slightly different to me. It seems to be more of this person is, like I said, either feeling like they were put into the wrong body or feeling like that they're correcting something that was incorrect to begin with. It's not just simply about sexual orientation. It's about your biology and feeling like you're not who you're supposed to be. The violence against transgenders, I do not agree with. I don't want to see anybody in a situation where they can't live their life. I feel like they 100% have the right to be whomever they want to be and to live the life that they want to live. But I think that as a precaution, they should make sure that whomever they decide to interact with feels the same way. Because I'm telling you, as a man, and I'm not one of those men that I think suffers from like toxic masculinity or anything like that. I think I'm just a regular dude, but I'm kind of old school, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't just necessarily agree with all this extra foo-foo shit. Now you can do what you want to do. Like I'm not one of those people that's going to hate you for being who you are. I'm not one of those people that's going to treat you any differently or, put your safety and welfare in jeopardy or feel like you should be treated a certain way because of it. Your right to be who you are is your right. But when you involve me in it, you have to also take into account my right. You have to take into account how I feel about a situation. And if you are a man that is transitioned to a woman, and then you come into my life and you do not divulge to me that you used to be a man and I find out, it's going to be smoke in the city because you didn't give me the option to politely tell you no. Because that's what would have happened. And I think that's the part that may be most important here. You run the risk either way because there's a chance it could be altercation right then, just from hello. That's possible. But I think you have a far greater chance of a far worse altercation if you let that relationship grow any further than hello without giving that person the option of knowing who you are. So while this has become a thing, and I do think it's sad, because like I said, no person deserves to just be brutalized or murdered or anything like that for just trying to be who they are. I don't think that's right. But I do think on this one, there needs to be a certain level of personal accountability. You have to give people the chance to make the decision that your lifestyle is something they want to be a part of. Looking at it from both sides, I see how you can feel like I'm just being who I am, but you also have to see how I feel like that I am being who I am. And you have to respect the fact that what you feel and what I feel may not match. That doesn't mean that we can't peacefully coexist. That doesn't mean that we couldn't be friends possibly. It just means that I need to know what I'm getting into before I get into it. And I need you to respect that need. And now that's on the one side of the story. Now to the flip side of it, if this is a bunch of situations where these are men that are on the down low, as they call it, or out here experimenting, and then they want to have a knee-jerk or a violent reaction on the back end if they feel like they're going to be outed or something like that, that's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, at the end of the day, these are people that are just trying to live in their truth, and I can respect that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got to understand it, but that don't mean I don't respect it. But if these are instances where these transgender, women or people that have transitioned to being women are being targeted just because of who they are, or if they are being targeted by the men that are being involved with them simply because they feel like they're gonna out them or tell what they're into, that part is messed up, and hopefully those people are caught and prosecuted to the full extent of the law, because that's not cool. But like I said, for the ones, if it was a misunderstanding in the sense of not knowing what you were getting, in that situation, I think part of the responsibility is on that person that has transitioned to be clear about who they are to the person that they're talking to before things get too far or gets too far out of hand. So that's that on that topic. I mean, I guess the long and the short of it is, America, we're not really big on tolerance. That's just kind of our history. So it's unfortunate that this is happening, but hopefully they'll be able to resolve these cases, and people will be able to just live their life and live it in peace. So moving on to our to my new favorite segment, Sick of This Shit. In this episode of Sick of This Shit, I'm sick of boneless chicken wings because they don't fucking exist. Alright. Boneless wings are nothing more than chunks of chicken breast breaded and fried. Alright, so please stop calling them boneless wings. Call them chicken chunks. Call them mini breast. I don't care what you call them. Just stop calling them boneless chicken wings. Alright, it's not a chicken wing. It's a chunk of a strip. I mean, you can call it whatever you want to, but it's not a boneless chicken wing. Now, if there is somebody out here that can figure out how to debone a chicken wing and still sell me wing meat, you know what I'm saying? And make that happen where I don't have to fight with the bone, that person is going to be very wealthy, first of all. But that would be amazing if somebody could actually do that. So if we can get some real boneless wings, that would be what's up. But stop calling shit that is not. Another thing I'm sick of, and it kind of goes in the same thing, is vegans. Vegans make everything vegan, and they just try to jack our name. Come up with new names for your shit. There's no such thing as vegan chicken wings because you don't eat chicken. There's no such thing as vegan pulled pork. You don't eat pork. There's no such thing as vegan steak. Most of this shit is just like cauliflower and chickpeas and shit like that. And please just stay away from macaroni and cheese altogether. I saw a recipe for vegan macaroni and cheese. It had butternut squash in it and nutritional yeast, and it had everything but fucking cheese. Stop. Just stop. Call that shit what it is. It's vegan, whatever. It may look like this. It may even kind of taste like it, but it is not the same thing. It ain't macaroni and cheese. It's macaroni, butternut squash, nutritional yeast food product. That's what it is. Don't call that shit that. And the wings, I saw one recipe for their buffalo wings, and it was chunks of cauliflower that had been seasoned, roasted, and then tossed in some wing sauce, and it was vegan buffalo wings. No, that's cauliflower, nigga. It's cauliflower. Nothing about that was a chicken wing. Nothing about it was a wing aside from the fact you seasoned it like one. That's cauliflower. So call shit what it is. Stop acting like it's something different. I'm sick of this shit. Until next time, man, y'all take care of yourself out there. Peace.